like Dropbox kind of thing, but you can get two terabytes for life, you know, instead of paying by month. And I looked at the account and it says it ends at this certain date when I'm 82 years old. So
we're going live right now.
Okay, I guess it tells.
All right. All right. Got a lot of people waiting, so we'll get the music started here in a minute. Interesting time to bail. All right, so we're gonna get this going. Volume I usually keep down a little bit in here because it comes through. So I kind of want to slam it, but maybe we can do it. All right, so I'm gonna start letting everyone in.
Yeah, it's do that all headphones.
Oh yeah. If we all did all headphones.
But the room would be silent.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea actually.
That's what they do.
That's like a real radio,
Yeah.
type of situation, right? Yeah, that's cool. All right, I see us here on YouTube. We're coming back in here and letting everyone in. Oh, we got Paul in. Oh, that's cool. Hello. Got the chat room here. We are also live on YouTube. Just taking some time to let everyone in. Got AMIR through. Got the computer working. Oh, we got Christina. Oh my God. With multiple camera angles as well. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Kathy's there. Everyone hear the audio okay? Awesome. What's up? Nice, Napoleon Complex. Love it. This song just kicks ass and kicks ass. Just fucking goes, man. It gets me fucking ready to fuck this fucking day up. Take this day and make it my biatch. Got some more people coming. Favorite fucking part. So cool. Kimberly. Yeah. Telling you. Pretty legit. Yeah, you need to take it out. So it's the middle one. And we'll discuss it live. Discuss migraines live. All right. Oh man, we got Steve Foss in here. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. All right. That song does have an ending.
It does?
It actually has a fucking ending.
Oh, is that without the fade out?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
the vamp out. Yeah. So, guys, as you can see, we have Foo in here live.
Hi.
Where does AMIR keep going? Well, AMIR doesn't get migraines as much as I do, but he's got the beginning of a migraine. So that's something I told him to go take my specialty migraine stuff right now as it's kind of hitting, so that he can like be okay today.
He calls it the aura.
When you get like the auras and you start seeing things. So we're in triage right now as usual. We have some shit to deal with all the time. Yep, that's it. These fucking things are amazing. So let me break off a little bit of drugs for AMIR.
Julien-K doing drugs live on Patreon. Here we go.
Where is this puppy? All right. So you can either take this half one, or you can bite it into a quarter. But I would just go for it. It doesn't make you feel like weird or anything like that. It just makes that migraine go away. That stuff has saved my life. Sumatriptan is what I take. I don't know what you guys may or may not take, but it's a game changer. When I got sober, I was telling my therapists and everything, like, why am I still hungover? What is going on? And we thought for a long time it was probably post-acute withdrawal syndrome, and it might be. But what we discovered when I tried a sumatriptan, just because, Caitlin was like, what if it's a migraine or what? I'm like, I don't get migraines. Went away. And that has been a game changer. So now I'm just trying to learn to take them at the right time so that I know when I'm getting a migraine. It turns out that I have migraines really bad. I have them chronically. I have them sometimes multiple, 5, 6 a month, and it will wreck me for a couple days. So these things are such a big deal. So right on. So guys, we've got everyone here. We've got AMIR. We've got Foo. We've had a pretty big weekend, obviously. Got to hang out with the Rammsteins.
Yep, that was amazing. Their show is just incredible if you guys get to see it.
How many of you guys went and saw the Rammstein show when they were in your guys' town? Anyone on this little chat? I know Christine did, but she's not on here. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, guys, absolutely unbelievable. If you're going to go see a rock show, I would definitely go see Rammstein. And it was really, really cool because there's a really special bond between the Rammstein guys and Orgy. And we went with the original Orgy guys, minus, Jay, but me, Paige, Bobby, and AMIR all went together with a big group of people. And those guys have always said that there's a very special place in their heart for us because we were the first English-speaking band like in America that made friends with them. And you can imagine if you're a German-speaking band and you're getting big, you're huge, doing really well in Europe, but you come to America and no one really knows you yet, and you're kind of have to break through a little bit, and you don't speak the language well at all, and you're kind of nervous about talking to people and everything, and you're on this big Family Values tour with Korn and Ice Cube and Limp Bizkit and all these like household names here in America. It was probably not the most comfortable thing, and I did. I came right up and just started making friends with them because I thought they were fucking awesome. And Orgy was super friendly and, and super cool band. And we just really, just completely became really good friends. We rode on each other's buses. I mean, it was craziness. We destroyed each other's dressing rooms, just all the good stuff. And we remained friends for the next 24 years or so. And it was just really nice to kind of have everyone together. They were all really shocked and we were super happy. Just really cool to see everyone together. And they were just very kind and very awesome to
Paul,
us.
When I was talking to Paul after the show Friday night, we were talking about a bunch of stuff, kind of catching up. And he said that he had just watched the Family Values. I guess he was talking about the DVD or something because he called it the documentary. But he said that he wanted me to know like that those were like some of the best times in his life and that he always remembers that time with us on that tour and how much he loved it. And he stole like really, those were like some of his favorite times, he told me, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
I got a question. What was their production like on like a multi-band, tour? Was it just like some flamethrowers?
No.
No, they had a lot of the same kind of thing. I mean, may have not been on the level that it was the other night.
Yeah.
You know, in a fucking stadium. But no, they were doing a lot of that same stuff. I would say, you know, maybe the big blasts of fire, there were a lot less of that. Like, because obviously they have so much more of that now. But they had that. I remember they had that in the front.
I mean, even the set couldn't have been, obviously.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
No.
The set was basically like, imagine a big arena stage, but then they put their flame elements all around and do all that kind of
And they
stuff.
still shot the
and
fireworks.
they shot the fireworks back
Yeah,
and
the
forth.
things
Like
back
they
and
string the
forth,
shit up.
and
You know, they bring and it's really funny because the crew and everything, they also came up to us because we know all their crew, and it's been the same people for 24 years. It's basically, you know, Rammstein is about 100 people, you know, that have been making this happen for 24 years, right? So they're all coming up giving us hugs. Oh my God, you know, orgy and all this kind of stuff. And those are the guys that are at the arenas or at the stadium. Now it's 4 days in advance that they have to build that whole thing. Back when we were playing with them, it was in the morning every single day. You'd get up there and they would get up there and string those things, you know, back and forth and make the fireworks. And I'd say they had like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5, 6, maybe 6 flame things, which was plenty in an arena.
Yeah.
And now they have what, 24 of them around the entire
And they even
thing.
have them in towers behind.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
It's insane.
It is fucking so ridiculous. I can't believe it.
And Korn was the headliner. Always?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah.
Yeah, on that tour.
And then, so where were they in relation to that?
They were just before Korn, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Orgy.
Actually, it was Incubus, Orgy.
Incubus, Orgy, Limp Bizkit. No, not on our tour. We were the opener.
No, we actually had it
For
was
a little
both.
while we
Yeah,
had them.
Incubus
For a little
too.
while.
Yeah.
But then it was basically the
Us.
main lineup was Orgy, Limp Bizkit, Ice Cube, Rammstein, Korn.
Yeah.
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 I mean, what a ticket.
So they were already kind of.
Yes, they were that was a Jonathan move. You know what I mean? So that was like Jonathan in Europe. They were becoming well known. They could tour here, but in Europe they were kind of taken over. And there was all this like legends of them like riding across the crowd in boats and stuff. And we're like,
And
oh
they
my,
still do that.
yeah,
It's awesome.
which they still do. It's insanity. I mean, it's talk about trust.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. And Jonathan took the chance to like get them over here in an arena. You know, so they could do, and the deal was so they could do all the fire, and they could do, I think, you know, Rammstein basically, they won't play. I mean, from the early days, they just won't play unless they can do all the fire because it's part of the show. You know, the tales that I've heard from Till himself back before they were who they were, it was very dangerous. You know, they weren't just, you know, they didn't have all this crew. They were just sort of inventing like, hey, let's try to make all this happen without burning people to death. And
Fire dangerous.
yes, it's pretty funny. So yeah, I could tell a lot of tales about that. So okay, let's see if we can actually get this fucking song done. Oh, and we saw Birthday Massacre last night. Oh my gosh, man, we have so much to
Well, it's funny too
talk
because Fu had never met Sarah.
Oh my god,
So Sarah was on one last night because definitely
she's on one every fucking night.
I know, but
when we're around.
when we were there, obviously, I think she was really on it, and I was kind of egging her on. But
Comedian, like.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Fu was. I've never seen Fu laugh as hard as he was laughing last
Yeah.
night on for like an hour.
Yeah.
That's
And I
nice.
love that because that makes me so happy to see people that I love making one of my brothers like just laugh so hard and have such a good time.
It's good for you.
Yeah. I mean, now Fu knows all the inside Sarah jokes and everything.
Yeah,
it's so
it's-
fucking funny.
Yeah, we had a great time. We had lots of time with them last night before they played, so it was really nice to catch up and see everybody and the whole crew. And
They were smashing last night. I
Yeah,
mean, they were even better than when we toured. I think that the standard things happen. You know, when you get 30 shows on your belt and you go out for another 30, you're on another level. You know what I mean? There's just nothing.
plus they changed the setup too. Which
Yeah.
was fun. Here,
Yeah.
I heard some songs I hadn't heard.
Yep. I heard songs I'd never heard live, and they play a new song, which was fucking awesome, and that was cool.
They
to
played
hear.
the song that I did the solo on too.
Mhm.
There's it's called
Flashback.
Flashback.
Yeah.
So
I like how Falcor
plays
was all nervous about playing your solo.
yeah, so Falcor plays my solo and they play it live, which is pretty flattering. It's really fun.
I enjoy seeing someone else play like some, because your solos are, it sounds like AMIR. You know, there's a way that you play it. There's a timing with the notes and everything. I love to see another really good guitar player, because Falcor's very good, do that solo and interpret it in his way. I thought it was pretty fun for me, because I was around when all that shit went down, and I like to hear the differences.
Yeah, we actually did it right here.
Yeah, right here in the studio.
Yeah.
So, so now that Foo's here, everything is going to work. So we've made it through the session, probably, 15 times when I was setting up. I got all the studio pretty much set up. I had a few issues. The guys got here and really helped me get that all finished. So that's super awesome. I think the audio is sounding pretty good in this format. We're still trying to figure out why we can't do just live fucking audio, because it's actually not that different than what we're doing here. I mean, we're putting a mix through the fucking board. So we're trying to figure that out. But you know what? We're also simultaneously live streaming on YouTube. So let's see if there's a difference. I'm going to go in and listen to that and see if it is something with YouTube or whatever is going on. Mm-hmm. But we are live stream on YouTube. So if you guys miss this or whatever, let everyone know. Obviously, I'll post the link. I'm doing this publicly right now, but I might switch it to unlisted afterwards. Every now and then I do these public just to let people know that this is stuff that we do for our patrons, and it's really, really cool. Yes, we still have the collaboration with Birthday Massacre. We just haven't put the finishing touches on it. Yeah, we're going to definitely do that. But it's just a matter of when we can get the time to put it out and all that kind of good stuff. We've also got a really cool one with Lord of the Lost that's ready to go. So that's going to be happening soon. I just wanted to wait till Chris got off tour so that I could have a conversation with him and figure out how we can promote it and everything. Also, I did a really cool private Zoom with Christine and actually her boyfriend, Metavon, and we did a full-on gave them a bunch of advice and kind of helping them kind of navigate and figure their way out in the music world, because he's kind of reawakened his career and everything. And so all of you that are at the elitist level and have been doing that, I just want to kind of alert you that if you got something you want to talk about that makes sense with us, let us know, because you have that hour. I spent a lot more time than that, but you have that, and there are a lot of our elitists that take advantage of that, and some are on these squares, and we've developed real relationships and stuff, and we're working together even more than the allotted hour per year or whatever. All that really is a cool way for us to say, hey, we'd love to help you back for supporting us. You know what I mean? That's what all this is. Us being able to do cool things to the people that support us, because you guys keep the lights on here and help us, make this content and do this. So without further ado, we are going to get into a combination of DECODE radio, and we're working on it, fuckers. We have Foo and AMIR here, so we can go deep on the technical side. And somewhere before 2 fucking hours, I'm going to steer it back into kind of the vocals and the lyrics. So you guys, anytime, raise your hand, ask a question. That's totally cool. YouTube, I'm not paying attention to you, but you guys please enjoy, because these sessions are usually really, really fun. Let's see here. Got a lot of questions here. Okay, let us walk into the temple. That is really good, Kevin. I love you. All right, so let's go ahead and get back over here.
This it was fun, actually, because when we started going into it last week, I realized how many tracks there are.
Yes.
It's a beast.
This song has, I think is it 100?
Oh, I didn't count, but it's a beast.
Maybe it's not. But there is a lot of layering here. I remember this song being kind of difficult to write. I actually talked to Eric about it again, and he kind of didn't remember much. But I remember it was something, would have been a seed that we did together. And I feel like, it kind of had a lot of twists and turns to get where it ended up. Because the way, when I hear the final thing now, I can really hear kind of all of us. Like all the things that we kind of do, that we brought to this. And there's a lot of tracks. There's a lot of layers. There's quite a bit of stuff that I kind of forgot about. one of the things is that there's actually an acoustic guitar that plays through this whole thing.
Oh yeah, the
Which
jing,
is-
jing, jing,
It-
jing,
it-
yeah.
it actually plays through the whole thing, and I wonder actually if any of you ever noticed that, because it's not hitting you in the face. on the song.
Rudy's going, no, I didn't. Yeah.
You didn't
Oh,
really?
we got it.
Okay.
We're going to get in there and break it
Yeah,
down then.
because
Yeah.
the idea of the acoustic on this was something I added after probably writing it, and what I was looking for was some movement.
Mission UK too,
Yeah.
influence, right?
Yeah, but really just to give it some movement, because it's not really like, oh, it's an acoustic song.
Yeah.
You really, the guitars, the electric guitars and everything really feature, but the acoustics actually kind of just keeping it like rolling, and it's almost subliminal. And even when I went through it quickly, I noticed that the way that I mixed it, initially I had it like hard left and right, but then I added this other like crazy plugin, that Woodwind, I don't know what the hell it's called, that UAD thing, that takes direct acoustic guitars and turns it into something that sounds like it's mic'd. It's like a
Yeah.
weird,
I forgot about that.
really some trickery going on there. But I ended up using that to kind of center the acoustics, because when they were wide, there was so much wide information with the keyboards and the guitars and the vocals and everything that the acoustics just got lost. So I ended up kind of doing some trickery to pull them into the center. And it's really cool. I didn't even remember doing half of this stuff.
Well,
But we'll get into all of that.
because we discussed a little bit the bass. Do you guys want to
Yeah.
want to hear just a touch of it? But
No,
and
no,
we'll
no,
just
no.
jump into guitars.
No, I just
there's-
wanted to say that because it was just such
No,
a,
I think
a
that's
surprise.
I think it's a cool way to get into guitars like immediately. You know what I mean? Because we already kind of touched bass a little bit, but the bass is the most simple part of the whole
Yeah.
song. You know what I mean? It's
pretty
the
straightforward.
least convoluted. So let's just retouch the bass because some of you might have questions about it. So we'll kind of go over that and let's just check it out. What I'm going to do is just solo just the whole bass world. Okay, I'm not going to solo all these individual things. Why? Because it's actually quite separate. I don't need to go in and solo everything. The typical thing has been done. The typical Julien-K thing has been done, and that's there's two different bass sounds making the one unified sound. That's something that we do a lot. You guys have seen that a million times. So let me just go through and just play bits of it. All right.
That being DI and amp. Is that
Yes,
correct?
DI and amp, yeah, yeah, which is always kind of they're starting to see the method to the madness is always this thing that we do, and then sometimes there's synth bass with the DI and amp, right? And that's you kind of have the layer of Julien-K bass now.
Yeah.
Occasionally there's only synth bass, but usually all three. So let me go through and play you guys a little bit. Obviously the intro. Super cool. Now again, guys, you can see here on the screen that's a layered sound. It's going to pick up.
I was going to think and hear it. Oh, you guys hear it?
Yeah, they can hear.
Good.
Yeah, they're all fucking rocking out.
Cool.
I watch for the head bobbing. I can tell what you guys are fucking doing in there. Yeah.
Tone changes.
Tone change. Super cool. Really gives the because the bass on the verse is so much of the sound of the verse. This tone change actually kind of brought it into this like
So
cool
'cause
fuzzy sub level.
Well, it's cool because the bass is straight, but the drums are pretty syncopated in the song. And it's not halftime though; they're just kind of syncopated, right? Not here, of course. Here in the verse, it's kind of a little more choppy.
Really picks up, really fucking, I mean, just comes alive there. So now we have like a guitar blend that I can't get rid of. That's just part of it, yeah.
Oh, you know why? Because
Yeah,
I think it's labeled wrong.
it's a reamp blend.
It's I think that's supposed to be in the guitar group.
Yep,
Yeah. But see here,
I can dispute it. Yeah,
Would you call that syncopated?
Yes.
Okay. But it's not halftime. No. It's just odd.
and we'll get into that reamp blend as well because that's an interesting track.
One thing I wanted to show off on the drums that clacky sound that we did. That's so weird.
Where is that?
It's in the verse, second verse. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It was probably like
Is
this.
it like a clappy thing?
It's called like clacky or something. Yeah.
Oh, that like pickup.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, that is super cool. It makes a huge. I can totally hear it in the song.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
It's kind of like the giddy up sound.
Yeah.
Like you get the fucking. We're gonna get into the. You're in the second verse, dude. Wake up and keep going.
I feel like Eric did that.
Did he really?
I think that might have been from the original thing.
That's a smart. Smart.
I
sound.
think, and I think maybe I sparingly used it to kind of build the verse or something, but I remember that being there for kind of a long time, and I always liked it because it doesn't really sound like something you or I would do. I think it was something that was there.
All right, so basically the song really from that point on, bass-wise, it's really doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
straight.
there is this little concept here of this. So what's the purpose of the reamp blend over here? That's in the wrong folder, obviously, but as we move into guitars, and I know what it is. It's a blend of all the reamped instruments, but what is that?
It would be one if it's a guitar, I think.
Yeah, it is all the guitars.
No, it's.
Let me see.
I,
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
one.
that main guitar, yeah. Okay.
yeah. So when it says blend, it could be
Oh, you blended it in with
different
the
tones. It could be different tones combined, or there could be a room mic. I think this song, a lot of the guitars have room mics on them. So if it sounds like it's in a room,
Even if it was 421 and 57,
Yeah, it could be that,
I
too.
would have labeled it blend.
yeah, could be just two mics.
And then that's basically blended into the whatever the main sound of the guitar or additional sound of the guitar is, correct?
No, that is the sound of the guitar. So
Oh, okay, so it's a
basically-
blend of.
I know
God.
it's confusing.
Okay,
but
yeah.
If
so
you-
Gonna make it
if you
clear for
just
everyone
drag
here.
that into the guitar group,
Yeah.
you'd be in the right place. But it somehow got.
yeah, basically, let me
misappropriated.
explain it. So there would be a DI recorded of the guitar. I know you guys have talked about, we've talked about this before, that I always record DI direct. I think they call it direct injection or direct
That's
input or
yeah.
whatever. And it's basically just the bass or the guitar being recorded direct. No amp, no microphones. Literally, you come right out of the guitar with a guitar cable into line input on a microphone preamp or whatever you have. And you record that. And then to reamp, you're basically sending that exact same signal back out into your amp. So it's virtually like you're playing through your amp, but you've recorded it into Pro Tools or whatever DAW or whatever you use as just the DI signal coming out of the guitar. So the purpose of that is that you're not committed to the tone at the time that you do the performance. So you can change the tone at any time, and we do that. But usually it just means to get a good tone, I don't have to be playing it at the time. It plays itself, basically. You play that DI track, and it gets sent out through a reamp box, which is literally just a transformer to turn it back into line level. I know a lot of this is kind of technical. But you basically put it back into the amp, and then the amp plays just like you're playing it, but I don't have to play it anymore. Now I can tweak the tone, I can change the microphones, I can try different amps, I can put different pedals in front of it until I get a sound that I'm like, okay, this is rad.
Kind of similar to if you print the MIDI notes to something, you can
Yes.
let those MIDI notes play, and you can tweak the keyboard sound, right? So you can kind of
Exactly.
treat it that
yeah,
way.
you can use any keyboard
When
sound
I'm-
once you have the MIDI notes.
When I'm explaining MIDI or reamping for that matter, I'd characterize it as separating the performance from the sound, which before you couldn't do. You played a piano, the sound is a piano, right? But in MIDI, you play a keyboard, and the sound is whatever you want to make it later. And the same with the amp tone. That's how we went from like Beatles making 2 albums a year to other bands making album every 6 years.
Yeah, because now we have way too many options and way too many tracks and way too many opinions.
Too much.
Yeah.
Damone, my brother, I'm going to unmute you.
Cool. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Excellent, excellent. So, Amir, quick question for you. With reamping, would a phrase looper accomplish the same goal?
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of two different things.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you could loop a phrase.
I mean, you can loop.
That's been
Yeah, you can loop in your DAW.
you can loop the performance, and then you could mimic, I guess, kind of, but you're still doing the same thing we're doing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're just looping the performance too.
Yeah.
If we're working with tone, right? We don't just let the performance play and then go, oh, gosh darn it, and then start it over.
Yeah.
You know, we loop it and go, let's get that guitar tone or whatever it is.
Like phrase looping type things is really more for live performance. Like if I was a guitar player and I want, you know, something, a background to play over the top of, you know, I think a lot of guitar players do that, where they'll throw on this thing, they'll play and they'll go da 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 da, and then they loop that and then they start to play on top of it, right?
Ed Sheeran's whole live show.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's kind of different. This is really more about recording, where that I think is more about performing.
This is actually capturing a great performance.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe you're playing like a whole part, a whole section, or it could be, you know, I mean, I don't know who would do this for 5 seconds of a song, but you want to, like, for instance, we're recording Nadima the other day, and we're getting Tim in here to get these ideas down. And basically we're like, you know, kind of messing with the tone while he's playing. All we're looking for is for him to just get the two parts played correctly. And then he can put his guitar down while we we get in there and fuck with the tone and make it sound
like
cool.
Old school, like, you know, when I was doing the Coal Chamber record, for example, you know, when I'm recording a band like that, when we were actually using tape, imagine that, no computers, you had to get the tone first. Like, you had to sit in there and get a great tone.
Yeah.
And then it became about the performance, and then you had to keep that tone consistent every day, whatever that was, to make sure that it was, you know, relatively consistent, unless you want a different sound. But you had to get the tone and then record it, and then you were stuck with that tone pretty much, outside of EQing and whatever tomfoolery you could do in the studio. But you were pretty much stuck with the tone. So then the reamp came along. And that just opened up the world, because even, you know, before computers there were reamps, and you could record the DI and you could do exactly what we're doing now. But, you know, my point is, now you're just not stuck with any tone, and that DI signal can be used with a plugin, which I do that a lot. So, you know, the tone could literally be a plugin in the computer. Sometimes I run it to a guitar pedal, and the tone could be a guitar pedal that goes back into the computer. A lot of Orgy's sound was a guitar pedal going back into the computer. And then the other thing is that you can run it into an amp. And most of the time, it's usually all of the above. A lot of the stuff these days, especially when I get just really, really great tones, it's literally a plugin, a pedal, and amps combined. Like, it's pretty crazy.
In terms of our workflow, we get the song recorded using virtual amps, and then
That's what I was going to get to.
And then
that.
just before mixing, some point before mixing, we'll have a day in the studio. And if it's an album we're working on, we'll do like a couple of days in the studio and a few hours per song, dialing in a tone.
So the idea of that, again, is like what Ryan touched on, is that, like, when we're in here trying to write the part or just, you know, get the parts down, we don't need to have the tone yet. We just pull up a plugin. We have different plugins that, you know, have heavy tones or clean tones or whatever, and they sound pretty good. So we write, or, you know, basically do the basic tracking with that, so that you have a vibe. It sounds pretty good, actually, and no one ever complains. Like, we come in here and you do it, and it's like, it's exciting, and it sounds good. And then typically I keep that. I will actually commit to that track. But then now we have the option to layer in whatever else the madness, you know, brings after that.
I think what we also do, and what I've noticed working with you guys for 24 years, there's always a shootout too, right? If you create a plug-in tone, and it's really cool, it might win.
Yeah,
but the problem is you have to shoot it out with real shit though too, because how do you know? And I wanted to bring stuff back on a business level. The old way of just having that tone and having to sit there forever and dial it and everything is, there's cool things about it, but it becomes a modern efficiency and economic issue too, because there's costs involved in all that. Like if you're at a studio doing that, experimentation can be a $2,000 a day experience, or it can be something where you get the song written and you focus on what really makes a song good. Then you focus on tones later. Tones are great, but guys like us and anyone who's and no, Damone, you are like this probably too. How long do we spend going down a rabbit hole making something sound kind of cool? And you stop worrying about what are the notes, what am I singing, because at the end of the day, the songs that we play in here acoustically, they work with an acoustic guitar and it sounds great, because the song is great. So in my opinion, the way that we're doing it right now and the way that technology allows, we can actually stop ourselves, put on the brakes, and just focus on the song.
Yeah.
You're like, is this cool? Is this song cool? Are the vocals catchy? We don't
want to rely on like, oh my God, the guitars sound so good.
Yes.
You don't even notice that the song is shitty.
Yes. Yes.
Because you can definitely fall into that trap. So
good tone covers up a lot.
Yeah, this avoids that trap. So if the song is working with just basic sounds and whatever, then you've got something. And then it just gets more exciting. And typically I can, spend an afternoon in a studio or even at home sometimes with the amps that I have, and basically reamp everything, in a day or whatever, or maybe 2 days. And you really have the luxury of not having to spend a bunch of money to do that, but you can really sit there and really experiment quickly and try sounds and probably get something better than you would have had you just been rushed to, okay, we got to get a tone and we got to start tracking this record and being stuck with whatever it is, And I mean, I can make it happen either way, obviously, but this way is definitely more fun, and you're just not limited. You can really, even later in the mix, I get stuff all the time from other bands and stuff, and I'll completely change their guitar sounds, and they love it, and they don't expect it. But it gives me a lot of power to make things really, really exciting. So maybe we should show some.
Damone said
that
he's been known to spend 3 hours dialing in tones for a single instrument.
Yeah, well,
that's true. And there's one other thing to keep in mind too. And a lot of people on these that watch these are also music creators. If you're a collaborator, like if you're collaborating with other artists and you're not just alone in your room, it's soul crushing for everyone else in the room to sit there while you dial your tone in. It's fucking soul crushing. It's diminishing. It's ignoring. It's all the bad things you don't want to do when you're collaborating. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to do it, but you gotta, like, if you're collaborating, you have to keep everyone else in mind. You have to keep the energy going. You know what I mean? Someone else might have a bitchin' idea. They don't want their bitchin' idea dumped on for 45 fucking minutes while one guy is dialing a sound in so that his world is perfect. How selfish can you be? We've kind of eliminated that, you know what I mean? And that's really, really cool. Obviously, being an orgy, there were times when we really had to... we spent, I wouldn't say an hour, sometimes we would go until like a day trying to figure out a sound that's directing a song. And it's fine. That was then, this is now. But I know now, being in multiple bands, that it's something that we really have to watch, because when you get everyone together, that's a fucking precious thing. And you have to protect everyone's workflow and everything. You can't just drop your own selfish needs on top of everyone else's, and that goes for everyone. So it's something to keep in mind. And you can use this technique that we use to not have that happen. All right, so I'm going to jump into some guitars.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll hear the acoustic at some point too.
Oh, we'll find that. We'll find it. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go in and solo all guitars, and we're going to find out what is interesting as we go. I'm going to start from the beginning of the song. Really cool, fuzzy, like fucking... Was that... It sounds like a chord. Or is it an octave? Or is it single notes?
No, it's chords.
Yeah. Oh, hear the guitar, hear the acoustic, guys?
Yeah. So that's Ryan. I know that for a fact. That was your part. I laid the
I think that was the edge.
edge.
I think you popped in for that one.
I'm pretty sure that was Ryan, and then I played the power chords.
Can you believe this?
There's the acoustics.
That is so cool.
Pretty high inversion too, to get out of the way of the other guitars.
So that's me and AMIR.
Pretty complex
Yeah.
things going on there, but it works. So it's like, it's interesting because the power chords are doing exactly what they're supposed to. They're just power chords. They're just filling in the hole, basically. And that sounds like it's got some kind of cool fuzz on it. And then the da-na-na-na is kind of driving, and the acoustics kind of helping kind of keep it all moving.
So it has that that sort of classic approach that we do a lot, and that is we start with like a kind of a foundational type of element, and I learned a lot of this from AMIR as well, and then there's another layer put on top and another layer put up on top to continue building up to something before we can drop into a different scene or a different mood. And this is a really, really great example of it, and a great example of all of us kind of playing instruments, you know, together and making something become more exciting. And it's one of the things that I love the most about this song is that it does a whole lot of this. There are a lot of these like building, exciting parts like this. It's just really fun to play live. You just keep getting the layer and layer more sections on.
There's a lot of like counter rhythms going on because we haven't even gotten to the keyboards. But the acoustics are purposely very thin sounding because they're really focused to fit in a very tight mix.
So that's another example of when we or when you guys take a sound, and I think a lot of artists would try to make every sound big, every sound, whereas these guys will take a sound and design it to sit somewhere in this big sonic picture. You know, this acoustic alone is not overly impressive.
No.
It's kind of glassy. It's kind of, you know, but it's designed to fit in there sonically. I mean, pretty wimpy. Really cuts through.
It's got a nice chorus on it.
Does.
And that's a very small acoustic too. It's not like a big bodied, you know, dreadnought acoustic guitar. That's one of my little tiny acoustic guitars. Probably, I don't know if it's the one that I usually use on the acoustic stuff that we do, but it's definitely a tiny acoustic. A mini one.
All right, so let's go into the...
It's almost like a mandolin or something. It's
oh,
weird.
wow, okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's pretty little.
So the chorus, when it hits, is now this explosion of all of it together. Obviously coming out of a verse where there's nothing happening, right? And that's one of the things I love about the song is the dynamic range of the song.
Oh, those are room mics. So there's lots of little ambience mics on the guitars as well, which kind of put them in a nice space in the mix. Don't always have the luxury of doing that. So these guitars they were recorded. I think we did some of this in NRG, didn't we?
Oh, maybe. I can't
Oh
remember.
wow, I didn't know that.
This one may not have been. This one actually I think we did out here. I think we did in the swim room, but I used a room mic. I could probably tell if you tell me if it says what the amps are.
It says RE87 ROM 7.
I don't know what the fuck that is. I think we did. Oh, room.
Could be room.
Oh, okay. So it's the well, it would have been my 67. I don't know why it says 87, but it would have been a 67 in the room. That was done here, pretty sure. Because we did the first record in NRG. We did the reamping there, but this record we did here.
Sean is asking if we use acoustic guitars like that often.
Yes.
We do, actually. And it honestly, it's kind of tucked in a lot of songs I don't
Yeah.
think people know about. We do that. And I always think of, I don't know exactly where AMIR and the guys got it from, but I get these feelings from the Mission UK.
Yeah.
You know, they did a whole lot of these kind of big, lush, like heavy, super melodic parts. And there's the cult.
Yeah,
Jing, jing,
I was
jing.
gonna say the cult.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so cool that they would throw those stabs in and everything. I think it's just so cool. Oh, good question, Keith.
I was going to say, but if you play the whole track and you take the acoustic out, you'll see that there's something missing.
Yeah, it really.
It's just that extra little thing that kind of, I don't know.
It's almost rhythmic.
Yeah.
It's almost like a drum.
Yeah.
You know, it
it's
fills
like a shaker. Or
it fills the
something.
world of a rhythm or a shaker.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that's important. Keith said, "Do you record acoustic direct mic up then?" Direct a lot.
Yeah, it depends. So in this case, it seems like it was direct, but again, I was using this crazy Universal Audio plugin that's called Wood something. I don't know what it's called, but it basically turns a DI acoustic sound into a pseudo mic'd sounding acoustic.
But it's still
weird.
Yeah, it's still
but
weird.
I like that about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
That it doesn't sound perfect, you know. So it's a combination of a DI'd acoustic and a plug-in emulation of an acoustic being mic'd. That's a mouthful.
Well, they're kind of well, the pickup is kind of a mic in a sense, anyway. I remember one of your acoustics. You look inside and there's just like a mic in there. You plug it in, but it's like, oh, there's
Yeah, it
like
depends
a
on the
mic
guitar.
inside.
This particular guitar, I think I used only had the piezo pickups, which are the little crystals that sit underneath the bridge, and it's a very typical plugged-in acoustic sound. It's a very glassy kind of sound, and it works great in a mix. But unfortunately, it didn't initially, because the way I had those guitars, like I said, I had them hard panned. I think there's two separate stereo tracks for the acoustics, and the first, not the first set in row of the tracks, but the first thing I recorded was a stereo pair of acoustics that were hard panned, but they just vanished in the mix. So what I ended up doing was adding this other layer of this plug-in emulation, and then also another layer of a chorus pedal. Just to throw the bomb in there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but all three layers make that work, you know, because you take any of them away, it just doesn't work.
Rudy said, I think he thinks it's more apparent as towards the end of the album.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an important thing to point out, because one of the things that you do when you create these like rhythmic kind of subliminal parts, if you will, there's a psychological effect as it compounds through the song. Mm-hmm. It becomes part of the rhythm section. It's almost like the same as the drums, or some sort of like, open hi-hat or some, this acoustic thing. And as the song picks up and everything becomes a crescendo, it becomes, now that you know what it is, it really becomes more apparent that part is so important in picking up the momentum of the song and keeping it moving.
And probably what I did is that at the end of the song, especially on the outro, I probably turned it up.
Yeah, yep.
I probably was like, I'm gonna, because you start singing a different part.
Yep.
That, a lot of it opens up a little bit, and I probably pushed the acoustic up at the end, so you probably hear it more, and then it's like, oh.
Wes said, this kind of stuff's all over the California Noir records, and you're right, it is. We did a lot of that there. There's a lot of these moody styles of playing on California Noir, and definitely the influences of the Cult, the Mission UK, and Echo, like all the different cool stuff that we, Echo and the Bunnymen, and
The
all
Cure,
that cool stuff. The Cure, like all of that, and even on the Trauma Echoes demos that were kind of, we haven't worked on in a while, but that we've been working on, there's a lot of heavily moody shit. We'll see where that ends up going, but yeah, I mean, that's good to point out. Kevin said it's all the influences are starting to they're starting to understand where all this stuff is coming from, and that's very cool. I'm glad, because that's that's what we want.
Funny enough, I was just going to say something real quick too. You guys probably don't know this, but I actually used to do acoustics on the Orgy records.
Yeah.
There's things on both Orgy records that were actually done with acoustics plugged in direct through pedals.
Yeah.
No one probably knows that or would be able to pick it out, but it has a different kind of sound, and sometimes it really cuts through in a different way. So I'm never afraid to use acoustics in any sort of way, on anything really.
Kevin said, I hope we get to hear some of the Trauma stuff. Yeah, Kevin, it's an album, so you'll definitely hear it. We're just terrible at actually writing music and finishing it.
It's really finishing. It's always,
it just takes us a long time, and we're really working on changing that, to be completely honest with you. So there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we're doing. Foo being here is another part of that.
Yeah, we're definitely working on some new stuff this week.
Mr. Ryan Rudy, how are you?
Good, guys. Thanks for doing this. So as we're listening to the guitars, I do realize I haven't heard probably one of my favorite guitar riffs, from the track. Kind of that there's like a high pitched kind of a squealing, that kind of starts the verses and starts the choruses.
Yeah. I actually love that. Rudy, I actually did a deep dive on that, and I remember now what it was. Basically, there's a pedal that Electro Harmonics makes called a Mel 9. It's a Mellotron emulation guitar pedal. So you can run a guitar through it, and it turns the guitar sort of into a keyboard. Almost like a guitar synth, basically.
Is that track on the keyboard, like in our session here?
I'm not sure.
I think it might be under the
might
keyboards.
be, yeah, because it sounds like a keyboard. So basically what it was, there was a guitar part that I then ran through this pedal and made a loop out of it. So it sounds like a keyboard part, but it was based off, remember in this song there's a solo. Mm-hmm. There's the octave thing. Mm-hmm. So I took that, the DI of that, and then ran it through pedals and through this synth pedal, basically, and made a loop out of it, and that became that loop.
So is that on the keyboard?
It might
folder?
Be.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, really,
that's cool.
Really crazy, actually.
That's cool. That's a great. That's a great question, Ryan. I mean, that's cool that you brought that up.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad that you like that.
Yeah, that part just kicks everything forward, because you kind of got the melt, and then that just kind of was like, "Wow, we're here." It just kind of lets you know, what you're about to get into.
I love to try to create unique things, basically. That doesn't sound like anybody else to me. It just sounds like something really uniquely us. And, you have to kind of work to create those kind of sounds. It's not just something that comes in a plug-in or whatever, You just have to... A lot of times I just fumble into these things, We just kind of... I see something and I go, wonder what it would sound like if we ran that through this and chopped it and, whatever, pitch changed it and whatever. And that part became like a little signature kind of little loop.
Yo, Keith. How you doing, brother? Mutual.
Good. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
It didn't pop up on the screen there. No, I wanted to go back to the acoustic just for a minute. And is the reason for going direct versus miking it, is it convenience? Is it a characteristic of the guitar?
It has a sound.
Yeah,
it does something. Yeah,
it's a thing that I've always, I don't know why. I mean, I mic guitars and use that as well. And a lot of times I do both. I can't remember what songs on this record where they were mic'd and plugged in. Maybe Framework. I can't remember. Is there acoustic on Framework?
I feel that there is. I
know we did an acoustic version, but I feel like there is too. So, I like the sound of it. For me, I guess maybe it's my, 80s nostalgia. But in the 80s, that was like a big thing. A lot of acoustic guitars where the sound on the records were plugged in. They might have been mic'd too, I don't know. But But it's a very 80s thing, that sound. It really became kind of a thing. Before that, everything was mic'd. And then after that, a lot of things were mic'd. I don't know. It's definitely a very 80s thing, and I've always loved experimenting with acoustic sounds, being plugged in and using pedals, and just being really unconventional with using acoustics. But sometimes, a good acoustic sound is good. Like on the Dead by Sunrise record, we recorded very conventional acoustic sounds right here in
and it sounds like it,
and used an amazing vintage mic, and they sound great. It's just great acoustic guitar sounds.
I think Nine Inch Nails also really kind of brought the whole direct, recording guitars direct kind of back, both acoustics and everything. And you can tell there's a sound to it. I know Trent Reznor just likes that. He likes the sound. He doesn't like mics and shit like that.
Well, there's just something, I don't know if it's immediate or whatever it is about the sound of any instrument that's direct, that it just really kind of is just so dry. Yeah, that's the word. That it's just right there. There's no delay in the way that the sound is presented on the speakers. So it has a very immediately crushing sound, and that, what became Orgy's guitar tone was a big part of that, was that imminent just distortion that was right in your face,
Yeah.
And you can't get that any other way but to have direct, have it plugged in direct. So yeah, that's probably why. I don't know. They just like it.
Thanks, Keith.
I have
Thanks,
another.
buddy.
I have when we get to keyboards, I have another acoustic Easter egg in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you remember?
Well, yeah. I want to hear the guitars with the keyboards on top, so that you can hear how they all sort of work together too, because it's pretty interesting. And I think when we went through this last week, I kind of remembered that the keyboard part, maybe initially, that Eric's part was too complex. And I remember thinking, no, it just needs like a super simple, doo-dee, 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 doo-dee. And we changed it because Eric's really good, just like Foo. I mean, he does some really interesting stuff, and on Strange Invisible, it actually was a really cool thing. That it was really busy, but it worked, But I think on this song, it ended up, whatever he was doing originally, I don't think we ended up keeping it. And we simplified it because obviously there was a lot going on with the guitars and everything else, and I think the song just kind of went in a different direction, and then we had to kind of re-layer the keyboards in a more less complex way, is what I should say.
Timon, my brother, hit me.
Sure. I just wanted to make one more comment on the acoustic recordings. So Keith, that was actually a really good question, because I'm no stranger to that. I just realized that I do the exact same thing with my violin. I look for reasons to sneak that into some of my recordings.
That sounds like a good usage too.
Yeah.
Right.
Really good use case of.
I wish we had a violin player.
Yeah.
I'd take advantage of it.
Yeah, you want to come over later?
Why not?
That would be fun.
Like
short drive from Texas.
I know, right? I'll just fly out. I'll just a private jet. And head over.
We're gonna drive out to you in October, so we'll see you there.
Cool. I was just gonna say, I don't know. There's just it's a sound of it. It's the sound of it. My violin was built in 1982, I believe.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was. So it has a sound of like aged wood that. And I always tell people, I can tell whenever like some people, they'll use violins in their tracks, and I tell them that I can tell if you're using like a synthetic violin versus a real, because I know that sound, and my ear's trained for it. But there's just that sound of old wood and acoustics that just make all of the difference. So just wanted to make a comment on that.
I hear that. Makes sense, brother. Okay, I'm going to mute you, and I'm going to lower your hand, and we're going to listen now to a little bit more of, just going to kind of get through guitars. Let's go through like when this song's kind of kicking ass. Chorus 2. Big vocal parts, all that good stuff. We're coming up to, I guess, pretty much like a classic Ryan solo thingy coming up. Kind of the shit that I always kind of do when I do this type of thing. My favorite part live because I get to do something interesting.
So I think you guys can hear right there. That's where I got the sample from.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of sounds like it already. Yeah, and that part comes back on the fade out too.
And then towards the end, comes back in. So that solo part that I did, AMIR cut into being a hook throughout the song, kind of like a hooky. It turns into more of like a keyboard sounding part. It's really, really cool. So let's see where that lives.
I believe it's on keyboards.
Oh, the intro thing? Oh, I think maybe it's not about the solo. So, yeah, there's a lot of tracks of that. There's actually a pretty wavery chorus.
Oh yeah,
too. Like it's pretty detuned. It's like sounds like a boat.
Yeah,
sounds like seasickness.
I think it was like right. It was right around. Hold on.
No, there it
is. Listen to that.
That's like really, the modulation is pretty wide on that.
I mean, it sounds like a drunk child is playing it. It's like pretty.
But when you mix it in with the others.
Because those two blue lower ones are blocking you.
They're
not in the solo.
It's fucking like 7 tracks for that part.
Additional stacking.
Yeah.
For the outro.
So there's quite a few tracks for that, surprisingly. I mean, some of that is printed, effects and stuff, probably like ambience and the chorus and whatever.
But all that being separated gives it size.
Yeah.
It makes it powerful. It's super cool. Yeah, that's awesome. There's only about 45 guitar tracks, so geez. I mean, my God. That's pretty. It's pretty cool. So we are going to do some fun stuff with the keys now. We're going to go down in here. Well,
there they are.
It's a relatively small group of people. Oh, hold on here. We got a hand up.
I think that's because a lot of it was bounced together, probably.
It's my brother Matt.
In fact,
Matt, my
Yo,
friend.
what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, buddy. I just wanted to reiterate Kathy's question. So,
okay,
she put into the chat, that she was asking, like, how do you guys manage to play Temple live, like with that many tracks and having to mesh all of that together? Like, that just seems fucking crazy.
It's a good question. Okay, so here's the basic. That part. Okay, that's really one guitar part. Now it's 6 tracks, but that's done so that the recorded album version you can hear the part correctly, so it sits correctly, so it's featured correctly. Live, you basically, we're still playing that main part. The main chords, dun, 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 dun. AMIR can still play that. And then also, actually, he can, when I'm doing this higher part, I think he even jumps into my other part. So you have to make choices. What is going to be the thing that's featured? Because the reality of it is, in a live situation, if you had 64 tracks going or 100 tracks going, no one's going to hear that. You have the room, you have all that kind of stuff. So something we do, and we've done increasingly more now, is we simplify and simplify and simplify for live. You got to make the choice of, like, what do you want to feature? in a big room, you can only hear so much stuff clearly. So live is truly a different version of the song than what you're hearing on the album, and that's on purpose. And it's what makes, I think, a live performance unique and special and one of a kind.
Yeah.
And there are things that we'll even kind of rewrite or redo a little bit playing together.
Yeah, because doing what I think what Ryan's trying to say, you know, like when we do it live, it's really about the live version.
Yes.
It's not about necessarily making it exactly like the record.
Yep.
What makes it better live. And sometimes that means featuring certain parts over other parts, like what he was saying, you know, I might switch back and forth, he might switch back and forth between parts, and you don't necessarily need all of this, but for the recording, you know, you have to kind of do a lot to make it exciting, I guess, in some ways.
And
sometimes
you have to do a lot sometimes to feature things.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes just like that one track of guitar, when you add the whole song in a recording, sometimes you can't hear it.
Yeah.
So you have to do things to it to make it
build
special.
it for the recording. But then live, you know, if he just busts into that part, it's probably
fucking loud.
Yeah, it's going to sound great, you know? So it's just different.
And also, I just want to add, like, it also depends on the venue too. Like, you know, if you're in like something small, you know, like, I don't know, like a 30-person club or whatever versus like, you know, like the Baltimore sound stage that you guys were at, like, you know, the acoustics of the venue can sometimes differ depending on what track you're playing or something, if you get what I mean.
It definitely can, but the thing that we try to do, and this is a very difficult thing, is that we, you know, when we're playing out live and stuff, we start to learn by going through all these different venues what needs to be louder, what needs to, you know, be quiet or whatever. You kind of start to find this happy place where it starts working everywhere.
Yep.
Right? But you can only do that by going out there and playing, because what might work in rehearsal, you get to the first gig and you're like, oh my God, I can't hear that part at all, or whatever. And so as we go along on the tour, if we're doing like a new song, for example, within probably the first week or so, we've actually figured it out to where it's most likely going to work everywhere now, you know? We kind of, you go through all these weird rooms and weird situations, and you start to kind of figure out, well, that part needs to be way louder, or this or that, or whatever. We don't need to even play that part. Like, that's not even.
There's a lot of choices of like, don't even play that.
Yeah.
Don't put that in, because it just becomes confusing in a live setting.
Yeah.
So there is a whole lot of like, at the end of the day, there's a bass guitar, there's two guitars, keyboards, drums, and drum sounds, like rhythmic sounds, right?
Right.
And the stuff that we can't, like on the rhythmic sounds and even some effects, I read a comment in here, Wes said, backing tracks, dude. Well, that's what those are for. Yeah, there is a mono track of stuff that we can't do. Now, we play the major instruments and play the song. If we weren't playing, it wouldn't sound great. It would be some weird rhythm stuffs and effects and things like that. But yeah, you can use that to fill stuff in. But no matter what, the playing live for us is a process of simplification. We have to feature a couple things, and then you can add other stuff, but you have to be judicious in it, and you have to make good choices. And the nice thing that we try to do is we try to make things sound good for the worst place, because when you get into the biggest place, it sounds fantastic. So I personally, from a touring business perspective and technical perspective, I'm always fighting to make the worst show the best, because we already know that when you walk into a cushy place like House of Blues or some big stadium tour or whatever thing we get lucky enough to be on, that's going to be great. You got to build for the worst. Everything we do is built for the worst scenario, not the best scenario. And when you do that, you start to really, 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 really reduce your footprint. You really, really try to have to put resources into things that are going to be powerful.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Great question.
All right, buddy.
No problem.
I'll lower your hand and mute you up. All right.
Get into these keyboards. So the first thing there should be this little loop thing, and it's stereo, it looks like. So you got two tracks. You can see how those two sounds play off each other. One stops, the other one goes. And the keyboard sound is layered and combined.
Yeah, just like getting this ready a couple weeks ago. It was bust, so I just printed the bus. But included in that bus was a single note acoustic guitar doing the melody.
Right. Yeah, so there you go. There's a little acoustic secret in there too. Is in that do 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 dee. There's actually a single note acoustic guitar, which I guess Fu played. Did you? Or did I do it? Oh, maybe I did it then.
The Hartman Neuron.
Yeah.
Most unique, weird keyboard that gets used one time per record.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Verse. Yeah, the verse, weird, like ambience. Nice delay on that too.
Pretty cool dynamics. That's, again, one of the reasons I love the song so much. Very, very cool keyboard part.
That's the neuron, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys can see the keyboards are actually a little bit more separated, a little bit less going on, but powerful combinations. I guess you can only vomit so much on a track. Very musical.
Put the bass in too. It's like an orchestra.
Yeah. It really just picks up and builds and builds and builds.
But see, the keyboards drop out there.
Mm-hmm. And which makes the guitar part bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So I turn up the guitars there.
And in a minute, we're going to go kitchen sink. But the guitar is a little bit smaller. Difference, right? I love that bass, that change in the bass guitar. So yeah, it becomes quite an orchestral song, which is why I really, really like this song. It's very fun to play. We get it to sound, I don't know if you guys have heard us play this live, but we get it to sound like this live. It's very cool. Matt, I just want to comment on your comment in the chat here. I want to try to record some songs, but I don't feel confident enough to do that. Well, the way that you become confident is you literally bathe in the activity that you want to do, and you go into it not being afraid to make mistakes and not being afraid to sound stupid, and you can even keep all that stuff that's stupid and mistakey to yourself. That's the beautiful thing, and you can only let people hear the good stuff. That's what we do. So I am extremely unconfident as well, but the way that, again, you get confidence is you go in and you just do the thing. And if I could just shake people sometimes and just say, this is how you become confident, is you got to go do it. You got to go practice it. It's the same for jujitsu. It's the same for playing live. It's the same for anything. I mean, go to jujitsu. How many people are confident having a fucking 240-pound guy lay on top of you and crush you? It almost it broke my rib, but you're not confident. It sucks. But if you go do it and do it and do it, it becomes very normal, and that's how you become good. Same for music. You got to go do it. Anything in life.
Speaking of that, let's get into the vocals.
All right.
There's some cool vocal layers.
There's a lot going on vocally.
And what's cool is that I think Amber is on this song too.
Yeah, she is.
It's really cool.
All right, so let's get into let me show you guys what's going on in vocal world, and it's staggering. I mean, look at that. Absolutely staggering. This is a really for me, this is a really fun song. Lyrically, it's interesting. It's kind of awesome. I have the lyrics over here on another page, and the verse is unique. Like, it's not something that we have done before. It's not something that we, it's not the way I would normally do a verse. And I did it really quickly, and I like that kind of stuff. I love the chorus. It's really fun to do live because I feel like it's these big statements, and I think that that's very fun to do. I like it because I get to sing and play, and that's always really, really fun, but it's not overly complicated. Then it goes into anytime you're singing and you go into a lead part, that's a little more complicated. So it's, even though it's an easy lead part, it's still challenging enough live that I really enjoy the challenge, and I enjoy seeing that happen. So let's listen to a little bit of this stuff.
I saw the fog in the desert through a photograph, like white doves hanging from shattered wings.
Yes, very narrative lyrics.
Pull of your wild heart, let's tone it down.
Cool distortion.
Yes, very cool.
Follow you down, follow you down, follow you down, follow you down, follow you, laughing in the face of a loaded gun. You might follow your own advice.
Just Stack City. So what do you guys think we should do? Break down any of that, or is it just kind of cool how it is? I mean, it's a lot of stuff. I mean, that is like, here it looks like the main.
I saw the fog in the desert through a photograph, like
There's the double.
hanging from shattered wings. A rodeo pole of
Distortion.
your wild heart. Let's tone it down. Follow you down, follow you down, follow you down, follow you down, follow you, laughing in the face of a loaded gun. You might follow your own advice.
So you can see there's quite a bit of stuff going on in that vocal. There's stack on top of stack. There's different. I mean, it's pretty crazy, and it's pretty fun. I mean, it's the first verse always sounded so strange to me, LOL, but it's good. Well, thank you. Yeah, I really dig this verse. It's fun to do. It's definitely a story. It's a unique way of doing a vocal. This part here, that was always really fun to do because it's tough to go from full baritone to full on falsetto, and it's fun to do live. It's fun to execute. It's unexpected. Please, and it's a fucking high one. So it's kind of cool. It's like I told you guys before, when you sing parts like this live, especially, you got to have a lot of control. You have to remember, I told you guys that a lot of it isn't pushing and yelling. A lot of it is relaxing and finding the space in your head. That one happens to be like up here. So you're kind of down here and then you immediately go there. I think that's really, really fun live. It's a little bit acrobatic in a cool way. I love singing this song full blast in my car. I give it my best concerts in there. That's awesome. That's super cool. So let's keep going. I'm gonna unsolo all of these. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, there's definitely some layers in the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a call and answer thing.
Mm-hmm.
Follow your own advice. We work hard. We're not satisfied. We're not lost.
We got Amber. We got me stacked 45 times. Then me kind of alone. Fuckloads of delay.
So the delay is distorted. Which is cool.
So let's hear Amber real quick. Oh my gosh, look at all this stuff. I gotta show them all these. Look at all these. So these are all little details, like just little detail hits and all sorts of stuff, So let's listen to Amber.
We work hard.
And that's basically a stack of Amber, huh?
Yeah.
So that's multiple tracks of Amber stacked into one track so that it's easier to deal with. Did I kind of simplify that a little bit?
Yeah.
And so that way you can, this, otherwise this would have had 494 tracks instead of 100. But that's pretty awesome. But Amber just sounds, she's so awesome. Let's hear that
really
again.
Full voice.
Oh, she just crushes. And I always, whenever she compliments me, I always get like shy because she's just so good.
We work hard.
And that's tough.
She's doing a good Grace Jones there.
Yeah.
We're not lost.
That little cut off, and that's because,
No S's.
yeah, no S's, right?
I chopped those off.
We lost hope.
I didn't take that one away.
Because it'd be weird, right?
Yeah, maybe.
We have soul.
Yeah. So let's hear like basically the backing ensemble. Oh my gosh. We also have a whisper. Let's just hear that real
That's
quick.
right. Yep. So the idea of that, okay, so
I've got a secret.
yeah, so a lot of
I know what you did last summer.
a lot of this vocal stuff I stole from Sisters of Mercy. So Sisters of Mercy always has like, right, in their stacks, they always have female vocals, right? But they also do this kind of stuff where they whisper, where what's his name? Eldridge?
Eldritch. We'll call him Eldritch because it sounds like a
forgot.
Magic the Gathering character.
Eldridge.
Yeah.
He his voice is always obviously very low and whatever, but he does a lot of this kind of trickery, where he'll whisper the words. So when you put that kind of in the mix as well, it does something to the enunciation. I can't talk today. Of the words.
Andrew Eldritch. Everyone's
Andrew,
correcting
yeah,
us.
I know.
We're like getting lit up on the chat.
I was trying to remember his first name, but
Thank you guys.
But yeah, so you can kind of put the whispers really forward in the mix, right? And then it's just really interesting when you layer the female vocals, the whisper, Ryan's, voices as well, all of his stacks. It would be interesting to put, like you said, the background ensemble together. Then you guys can hear how those all work together.
Well, here's Ryan Gang Low.
We work hard.
That's a bunch of me working hard like men.
We're not lost.
We're not la.
There's a lot of de-essing going on there.
We have soul.
But I didn't take it off soul.
We
'Cause
are sanctified.
I must have needed those S's.
Okay.
So a lot of times I clean up. I literally edit out the S words. When you have many layers of vocals, the S's start to stack up. And even if you use, there's plugins called de-essers. Even if you're using those, it just starts to become overwhelming. There's just too much sibilance. So what I literally do is I literally cut it out. So it sounds funny when you hear it on its own, but when the lead vocal has it, you don't really need any more. So the lead vocal has it, and then all the layers below it, typically I will take it out and you won't miss it, and it just makes it sound so much better. Some of them have to stay in, obviously, in some of the layers. I think the word soul wasn't as, sibilant. It's more powerful, and if you take away that S there, it just didn't sound right. So there's no rule. You have to really play around with it to get it right.
A lot of good comments. Yeah, Sisters of Mercy is a huge influence. I mean, Sisters of Mercy is something that Andrew Eldritch's vocal style is something that sits with me big time. Sisters of Mercy is a big influence on this song, and I definitely wanted to capture that. I do feel that this is a Andrew Eldritch style vocal, and in some ways it's my private little homage to him. I really like Sisters of Mercy. I think that's just one of the most influential bands to me, and I love the way they create a mood immediately, and the mood is Sisters of Mercy, like with their sound. It doesn't matter what song, it just changes the room, So let's go ahead and hear Ryan Gang High.
We work hard.
Oh, little guy just working hard.
We're not
So you guys get the idea, and then all of it together here. Let's hear just my main.
We work hard.
A lot of breath, right?
We're not satisfied. We're not lost.
Just a good, solid main lead vocal. So, and true Julien-K fashion, we just can't leave that like that, can we? No, we got to go fucking crazy on it. But it's pretty huge results, though. I mean, just really what Sisters of Mercy would have done, but in a modern Julien-K way, you know? Very cool and very fun. So, all right, let me get out of these solo tracks and let's get back into the whole, the vocal as a whole. Before we get into the lyrics, I hope you guys think that you know what this is about, because I'm going to want to know. I'm going to get into verse 2. Or, excuse me, chorus into verse 2.
I've got a photo fading in the desert sun. Now that all is said and done, I see the temple low and rising. I feel the system come undone.
Love those lyrics.
I wanna follow you down, follow you down, follow you down, follow you down, follow you, laughing in the face of a loaded gun. You might follow your own advice. We work hard.
Just definite, like, just big vocals. So fun.
We're not lost. We are sanctified. We've lost hope.
Super cool, super gang vocal. Love all that stuff. And then a little classic thing that I added in here, because I know that live I like to do a lot of, like, I know now when I'm kind of going off and I'm having a good time live, and I always want to go, yeah, and yell, or yeah, and something in the microphone. So I was like, well, I better start putting that shit in here, because I know that I want to do it all the time. So I better add it. And I had the wherewithal just to do one of those things I do live all the time. I knew I was going to do that live, so I better put it in. I'll probably be doing that in a lot more songs, because it is, funny enough, honestly, kind of like a James Hetfield thing. And yeah, I was influenced by Metallica. I was influenced by Slayer. Yeah. Like, yeah. And I think that even though, you know, we make fun of it a lot because it is kind of silly sounding, it's also a brand. It's also a tag for him. And he knows that. Yeah. You know, I mean, those guys know that. And I know that I kind of have a thing that I naturally do live. And that's when I'm excited. The band's going off and I'm leaving off a vocal. Oh, yeah. You know, fucking, you know, and it's really fun. I noticed that maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but, you know, Edema also, like, when we rock out and everyone's rocking together, and I turn around and those guys, like Chris Coles, he screams at me while he's playing. He's like, yeah, just screaming. I can hear him through my in-ears, you know, through the drums. And Dave DeRue does it too. And I'm like, what is this, a fucking goofy Bakersfield thing? Are we just like such hicks that we just rock out so hard that we just scream while we're playing? Like, what are we, Vikings? What the fuck? And I just do it, and I think it's fun, and I like singers when they do it. I think it's badass, so I put it in there, you know? I just did it.
And don't forget Dave Gahan.
And Dave Gahan. Yeah, Dave Gahan does it. Yep. But before I even knew, really, before the internet existed, and because I'd never really seen Depeche Mode live until, right? I mean, there was a time when I was just listening to Depeche Mode. All I had was their CDs. I never knew what they did live. You know, I still did this fucking shit.
I saw him in 1986.
Oh, see, I grew up in Taft, so we didn't have Depeche Mode.
We were still in high school.
Yeah, we were. I was
it's
teething.
like this pristine, you know, Depeche Mode sound, and then all the, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, he makes it rock live, you know, and I think that's really, really cool. And when I discovered what they did live, it really resonated with me. Obviously, I mean, he's such a big influence on everything that I do. So let's go into.
We work hard.
Got the passing lines now.
We're not lost. Cities are burning. We are sacrificed. We lost hope. Lost in the feeling. We are socialized. We are souls. Cities are burning. We are sanctified.
So That would be an instance where live, what do? Well, you could have other people sing stuff. You could have backing tracks. You could not do the part. Some of those things I can go, we're not lost. Na, 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 na. We got satisfied. Sometimes I can do stuff like that. In a track like this, depending on how it felt live, that might be a track, because this is actually a little bit more accepted now. You can kind of do this. People get it. That might be a part that you make either an effect or you put that on the backing track. Sometimes if you do it more of like an effect idea, you can still hear like the note and what's going on, but it's not as overt as like a backing track playing. But I think that a lot of the bands that we love, they would just put it on a track because it sounds cool and it's fine. Those are just choices that you have to make. There might be tours where we do it and tours where we don't. There's some stuff that we've done that we don't like as much. There's some stuff that we wish that it was there when we put it in. And then there's some stuff, depending on how complex the song is, that I can just kind of invent a way to sing them both. And in those cases, I would probably not finish a bit of the first line, go into the second line. Sometimes I won't finish the last word. You have to figure that out. You know what I mean? You have to figure out where to breathe, because you can't just do it all in one breath. So it's super fun stuff. And then we have this end part that I really love. Love that part. Alan said, I love that vibrato. Yeah, tell AMIR that. Yeah, the vibrato is something that it's hard. Something I struggle with because I have a lot of vibrato. I guess the only saving grace is that, have you ever heard Depeche Mode's tracks isolated? Because they sound very straight on their albums, but they actually vibrato really fat. They have a lot of vibrato. So we're able to make it work. I do have to sometimes, on the albums, I'll have to sing, re-sing stuff and make it more straight. And, whatever's going to sound right is what I want to do, so it's hard. It's something we struggle with. But you have to turn all your struggles and all the things that are difficult into strengths. And that's what you got to do as an artist, is just figure out how to make these things that are maybe not as good on their own work with the whole thing, and that's what we do. So we're at that point in the song, and we actually, we're only a little bit over on the longest session in the world. Anyone got an idea what this song might be about? Oh, okay. Hold on here. Let me share the screen. Actually, let me unmute you and share the screen. All right.
I don't know if this is what the song is about, but I know what it's about to me.
That's more important.
I love it.
So I look at the context of where this track falls, in relation to the entire California noir experience, the whole suite, and it's the last track after 2 albums besides the outro, there's the last track of 2 albums worth of content. And if you look at the second album as nightlife, it's almost like this is the sunrise from the end of the nightlife. I've always kind of appreciated the song as like a pat on the back, like a reassurance, like you got it, you're doing good. It's an abstract way of saying that, but it's just a way of saying that if you work hard and and you keep grinding, that good things are going to happen for you. Don't be complacent, but just continue to push, and things are going to be better. It's like you made it to the end.
Man, can I just say you just nailed it so hard, you might as well join the band. I mean, you just nailed it. Anyone else got? And I'll expand on that a little bit. But oh gosh, lots of hands. Awesome.
And
Simon.
And that's why it works so well at the end of the record.
Yes. Oh boy, lots. God, this song hits a nerve. We might need to add this back in the set. My
How
brother.
you doing,
Yes.
So, all right, I always say these songs are about relationships, but it seems to me that this one's about being totally. Can you see me or not?
Huh?
Can you see me? Do you have video?
Sure can. Yeah.
It seems to me that this one is about being hung up on a girl that he's not good for you, and that she's a bit too crazy to be healthy, but you're looking for meaning in your life, but you're so into this relationship, you're just like, okay, screw it. I'm just going to follow you on your crazy path and just see where it goes.
That's an interesting interpretation. I definitely am not, for once, I'm not thinking in that way. I think Rudy kind of nailed it a little bit harder. But no, I actually hear some of what you're saying in there as I'm looking at the lyrics. Yeah, it's a good interpretation. Okay. There might even be a bit of that talking to another person in this. You know what I'm saying? Where you're kind of like, you are addressing a relationship in a way, but it definitely hits on more of this journey of the album and a journey out of the desert and all this kind of stuff that I think Rudy hit on. But no, it's great.
Cool.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Matt.
All right, what's up? So for my interpretation of this song, I kind of am leaning towards Rudy, but I kind of want to elaborate on my point of view. So it seems like for the first half of the song, it's almost like you're yearning for something. Like you're out here in this desert. You're like, okay, where's my end goal? Where is my, achievement for doing all this for such a long time? And then about about the second half of the way in, you're like, oh, I found it. I found this like golden temple in an oasis out here in this desert. Well, shit. Now I got everything. Now I know that I made it. I'm here. Like I'm alive. I'm good. I don't know. Maybe that's it. That's just I don't know. That's
you get to join the band as well. You just nailed it. Yeah, you guys just nailed it. Maybe interestingly enough. The reaction to this song, doing 2 sessions on it and everything, and we've gone so long every time on it, which is fine. It just definitely is, and how well you guys are all really interpreting the lyrics and getting the lyrics makes me think that we wrote a really good song. So I really appreciate that. Awesome, good interpretation.
Let me know when you want to sign me up.
All right, brother. Kevin, my friend.
Curious.
I'm gonna unmute you. There you go, buddy. That really hits a nerve with everyone.
Yeah.
These guys got it pretty well. I was gonna say just to touch on Rudy's part with the 2 choruses. I saw the Fire in the Desert photograph, and then the developed film in the second verse. It's like that's the bookends of California Noir. It's like we're going on this journey, and here's the pictures we had to show for it now. But the chorus and the core of the song, the temple, is you, your foundation, who you are. Reminding yourself that even though all these things are happening and all these experiences, you're always thinking about it and it's easy to get lost in it. Remember that that's there. That's important to who you are. And that's why it's such a fucking statement,
I don't know that I need to explain the song now. Yeah, you nailed it. You guys really get it. I mean, everyone, even Simon with an interpretation that's a little not exactly on, it's still those ideas are weaved through this. Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, you want me to give you my kind of I'll do my best to say what you guys just said. Is that cool? All right. That was great, Kevin. Thank you. That means a lot to me. That's super cool. You guys pretty much nailed it. So, you really nailed it. This is one of the coolest sessions because I think that you just got where I was at. You guys understand what temple is now. Temple's me, right? Temple is you yourself. I think it's one of the biggest concepts that I live now. I had to get sober to really figure it out. But even before I was sober, I was writing about these concepts and this philosophy. And I saw the fog in the desert through a photograph. A lot of that is, you guys remember the California Noir video. You guys know that I'm from the desert. You guys know that the desert and the ocean and the mountains and all this kind of stuff plays a huge role in my songwriting. And it's a big influence. My environment and everything is a super big influence on me. And I see things very much from desert, ocean, mountain. I see the world like that. It's a weird thing. So I saw the fog in the desert through a photograph. Was, the journey of going out and sussing out the California Noir song video, going down to the Salton Sea and all that kind of stuff, really stuck with me because there's all these relics all over the place of death and just former lives and things that didn't work out and all this kind of symbols to me that I thought were really powerful. And that's a little bit of a play on that was also a bit of a play on my life. you know, looking at all the pieces, looking at my past and where I'm from, the desert, all this kind of stuff, like white doves hanging from shattered wings, all these possibilities, but your wings are broken. The rodeo pull of your wild heart, let's tone it down, please, is obviously like there's a fire in me, like, you know, that's making me do the things I do. Let's tone it down, please, kind of like the, I don't know, the people, your mom consoling you, or the people in your life that want you to kind of calm down a little bit. And so I'm playing both sides there and singing both voices. Let's tone it down, please. It turned into a woman a little bit, you know what I mean? I'll follow you down, I'll follow you down, follow you is basically I'm chasing something else. Like, bye-bye. Laughing in the face of a loaded gun, you might follow your own advice, is kind of like me saying, fuck you. I'm gonna laugh in the face. You got a gun to my face? Fuck off. And you might follow your own advice. It's kind of like, it's kind of is what I'm saying. It's like, you might want to pay attention to, you know, you've got this gun to my head. You want me to do these things. Why don't you need to be looking at yourself in the mirror, not me. And then we work hard. We're not satisfied. That's my life. Working really, really hard, never being satisfied, constantly telling yourself that, you know, you're not lost. This is a journey. We're here for a reason. Being lost is part of it. You're not actually lost. You know, stop that shit. Fuck that. We're sanctified means that we're supposed to be doing this. We're supposed to be struggling. We've lost hope. Of course we have. We're not socialized. Fuck, of course we're not. You know, yeah, we're antisocials. I'm a diagnosed clinical antisocial bipolar fucking, you know, person. Yeah, got problems, but we've got soul and we are sanctified. So about going back to the stuff that I hit on in all of our songs, you know, we are actually holy. This mission is sanctified. We do have souls. I've got a photo fading in the desert sun is a play back on line 1 from the first verse. Now that all is said and done, it's kind of like you're just looking at your past, but you're moved on. You already sang the first chorus. Fuck off. We're walking away. I see the temple now. The temple is me, right? Low and rising. I feel the system come undone. So that's obviously the chains of what everyone else expects. I want to follow you down is obviously, right? I'm going somewhere else. Go away. Laughing in the face of a loaded gun, basically laughing at anyone who expects me to be whatever it is they expect or has a gun to my head. I'm laughing at you. Pull the trigger. I don't care. Let's do this. Like, I think it's a sham. And then lost in the feeling is, you know, as the crescendo is happening, you're lost in the feeling is literally life, living our life. And, you know, whether it's going on tour or writing an album or struggling or rolling in jujitsu or whatever it is, lost in the feet, you're lost in it. You're doing it. Cities are burning. That's just my mentality. You know, shit's burning all the time. There's problems all the time, including all the bullshit that's going on right now. That we on it because of the internet and all the news outlets that exist, I a lot of times feel like things are worse than they've ever been. The fact of the matter is the world's better than it's ever been. Believe it or not. If you want to go back to medieval times or before that, the standard of living for even poor people is better than the standard of living for poor people 100 years ago or 200 years ago. So a lot of it is kind of like lost in the feeling. Cities are burning. Are they? Are they not? Does it even matter? No, it doesn't matter really to us on a daily basis. We just got to keep working hard, stay unsatisfied. You know, we're not lost. And this is that mantra, right? So that's why I love singing it. Because when you're on stage and you're out there on tour and there's a crowd there, I'm kind of like saying, like, I'm kind of throwing the gauntlet down. You know, I'm with my fucking best friends on stage. We're fucking throwing down. Fuck you. I'm doing my fucking dream. It's hard. It's sweaty. It's tough. I don't give a shit. We're doing this. And I'm happy about it. So yeah, you guys nailed it. Thank you. Awesome. Let's see who's still here. Oh, everyone's still here and more. Awesome. Wow. That was cool. Everyone's saying awesome. You guys all nailed it. But yeah, I think that this song should be an inspirational song. I think that it is definitely a lifting song, and that's moderately rare for us. And that's why I love it. So thank you guys so much for our first session, you know, with Foo back, which is super great. But our first like 2-part session for obviously a really, really big song. I really appreciated it, and I appreciate all of your guys' interpretation and participation. It meant a lot, and it means a lot, and gives me a lot of data to go back and write more great music. So Awesome, Fu. It's so fun to actually have you here. It's fun to do this the way that we really intended to do this, like a little TV show, like a little talk show, with multiple cameras, and we got the computer here doing its cool thing. And the screensaver guy, I love that screensaver more than anything. But and being with all you guys on a Sunday. So now I'm gonna
staring at it.
Yeah, it's so cool. I know it's hypnotic. All right, I'm gonna go to lunch with my mommy and daddy, and I will we're gonna see Talinda tonight. Watch House of the Dragon. Maybe do a little late birthday celebration with her. And we love you guys, and can't wait to share some new music with you because we got a lot of stuff cooking. So see you next Sunday. And elitists will do a house party maybe during the week, so we'll catch it all up. All right, thank you guys.
Click on the other camera so we can wave.
Bye.
Right in a screensaver. Cool.
Which is basically